Welcome, viewers. We are at episode 39 of COVIDCASTJA. Today, our topic is beginning your digital journey. If you joined us last week, you would have been introduced to what will be a series of webinars that we are taking you through creating your digital footprint. So last week we talked a little bit about some basic hardware and software and applications that you can use as MSMEs to improve the productivity of your business. This week, we're going to be talking a little bit about websites and social media. So we have a very exciting lineup of guests. We're going to be joined by Trevor Forest, who is CEO of 876 Solutions, as well as Craig Powe, who is CEO of Adtelligent. But you're wondering, why are we focused on this webinar looking at creating digital footprint for MSMEs? We are we will be staging, that was Siri just jumping into my conversation, technology. So we will be staging on March 5th, a conference, Let's Go Digital. This is going to be a one-of-a-kind technology conference that will be staged virtually. Every MSME should be registered for this conference as you seek to improve your business and ensure that you are fully digitized. But it doesn't end there, because March 6th, we will have virtual booths. We're going to have a virtual exhibition where you're able to log on and do a virtual walkthrough through our exhibition hall and meet with our top tier technology providers from right here in Jamaica. When you think of any kind of technology solution, we have the providers right here, and this conference will link you as the customers to our technology providers. This cannot be missed. But rather than just staging the conference, we said it was very important that we actually did some training seminars as we're building up to this conference to ensure that you are logged in, you are clicking through, and you are starting that digital journey. Now, why is it so important? We want to ensure that we're assisting you to reduce your business costs, improve your engagement with customers, create greater efficiency and improve your workflow, improve your product and service offerings, and increase your employee skill set for the future. So ensure that you are following us at psojfinancialaccess.com. Make sure you're following us, Make sure you're logged in to psoj.org, the website. Follow us on social media and ensure that you are registered. You know that every week we also send out a memo to support whatever we are training on. And I am sure that you must have already signed up for your memo. If you haven't, email us right now at sme@psoj.org. This also ensures that you are on our mailing list. I see Sandra Palmer. Welcome, Sandra Palmer. Now, the PSOJ is continuing to educate and with producing webinars and seminars with certification. Now, if you are interested in corporate governance, not just from the conduct of your business, but you're also interested in sitting on boards and you want to equip yourself with the relevant information, there is a cutting-edge corporate governance training that will be conducted by the PSOJ and the Jamaica Stock Exchange. It is called Corporate Governance and Leadership Training, and we encourage you to go to the PSOJ website, psoj.org, to sign up for this very important training session. So much is coming up because we are entering 21 in a blast. We are getting that flywheel going because at the end of this year, we're going to be that much more educated through these programs. And very importantly, we shall be digitized. So our first guest is Trevor Forest, CEO of 876 Solutions. Now, Trevor has more than 29 years of experience in the IT industry and has served the local IT industry in so many ways with a demonstrated commitment to driving improved standards of ICT adoption and digital transformation strategies. For over 15 years, he occupied various management positions in IT in the United States, and then he returned to Jamaica when he founded 876 Technology Solutions, a provider of open source-based technology solutions serving the Caribbean market. Trevor attended the Jamaica College and went on to attain his Bachelor of Science degree in aerospace engineering with a minor in mathematics at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Join me in welcoming Trevor Forest to our COVIDcast studio. Hi, Trevor. Trevor, let me just welcome, I see Nicole Brown-Price, Kevin Fairmont, Quinn, Justine, welcome all. You've joined at the right time. So Trevor, 876 Solutions provides open source based technology solutions. For those of us who don't understand that language, like myself, tell us a little bit about the services offered by your company.
All right, so 876 Solutions, we provide web application development. We provide enterprise web application hosting, email hosting. We do business process analysis, assessments, and intelligence. We also probably one of the first providers to start providing blockchain as a service. And the reason why the open source plays so prominently is because the majority of the platforms that we use are open source. Now, what that means is that the licensing regime is very open. It's not proprietary software, and because of that, it is way less expensive than some of the more proprietary products that you would normally get. So it was our considered view that for developing countries to be competitive and to reach a developed status, open source software would be the best option, to a most cost-effective and economical option to get countries to develop status. So that's why we really adopted that approach.
Okay. So I've been a little bit more educated on this. You know, sometimes you see these terms and you act like you know what they are. I've been acting that way. What I do know is about websites, and with how social media has pretty much taken over every aspect of our lives. There's a feeling that companies are asking themselves, do I actually need a website? Is that for a particular sized company? Is that also 2019? Do I actually need a website? Should you have a website?
Yeah, I didn't ask you if it's so 90s, right? But no, even in today's day and age, more so now than ever before, companies still need websites. There's a general thought that, you know, with social media, you know, we don't need websites or online footprint, but websites are still very much needed because over the years, the website has now become a company's true digital real estate and address in cyberspace. So in much the same way that you would, you know, drive to, you know, to Knutsford Boulevard to find a company, in today's digital era, the website is the digital real estate. So it's important for companies to have websites. It's your 24/7 existence online. It's a 24-hour salesperson, never goes to sleep. And it's perhaps one of the best ways for you to still be discovered online, and for you to engage with customers.
Yes.
And also, if you're looking to embark on any sort of selling of goods and services online, especially e-commerce, your best option is
Is
a website.
so okay. So as our viewers are listening, and we have persons who are operating micro businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and today we are talking about beginning your digital journey. At the start of your digital journey, is it necessary to have a website at the start of your digital journey? What's that time that it is necessary to have a website, or should you be thinking about that from the get-go?
Yeah, you should be. Not only should you think about your website, but you should think about securing your digital identity online, and that's what they call a domain name.
Okay, what that mean? What that mean?
Right. So much the same way that you go to company's office and register a name of your company, in the online space, a domain name is pretty much the way in which people would refer to you online or how you'd be found online. So if
That's
you
your .com, your Trevor.com, Trevor.org, that kind of thing.
in starting that journey online, that's one of the most critical things, because your domain name directly to your website is also tied directly to your email address. Now, it's important to have that because it establishes a certain degree of credibility. Now, I mean, I don't know about you, but sometimes when you get an email from somebody who is representing a company, and the email says at Hotmail or at Gmail, as opposed to at McCork.com, you look at it in a slightly different way. Customers do this as well. So the credibility of your entity takes a jump when you have a domain name, when you have a website, when you have an email address that is all synchronized and tied that way.
Okay.
So those things are important to establish at the beginning. Now, what a lot of businesses tend to have a challenge finding is a domain name that is representative of their company, because the names are limited, and then what happens is you may not find a name that is the exact representation of your company name, but I am going to share something with a lot of people that some people may not have known. Most times when people go for a domain name and they can't find it, it's because they're searching for that domain name as a .com or
Okay.
and if your company name is popular, you may not find it. But I'm going to share something with you today. If you can't find your domain name as a .com, you have another option. You can look to register your domain name as .com.jm, and chances are, if you can't find it as a .com, you can find it as a .com.jm. So that is something that's a useful thing. Right?
And that's a useful tip, because one of the things, and I was glad you just set out some basic considerations, because sometimes when we're thinking about the website, we're thinking about just the bigger look of the website, but not just the functionality of having that email address, setting that address for yourself online.
That's
and
right.
Also, sometimes as small businesses, I was talking to a small business operator recently that could not find, and we can pass on that tip now, with the JM, because they could not register their very popular business domain name because somebody is using it. Exactly. So even as we're registering our business, we have to look at the registration of the domain name as one of the key areas that we want to own from early. And Trevor,
did I mention .com.gm domains are free? Did I mention that?
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? Say that again, Trevor. .com.jm
domains are currently free.
Very
So
useful
another
tip.
gem
Very
for
truly cold Brown price. Very useful tip. So, Trevor, when we are thinking about websites, there are costs to the actual development of a website. What kind of cost can we look at for what's a range of cost we look at for a website?
All right. So first, let me state that we're targeting micro, small, medium-sized businesses. One
Yes.
advantage that a website uh, creates for any one of these organizations is it allows you to appear a lot larger than you actually are. So when somebody goes to your website, depending on how you present your business online, your business can actually appear a lot bigger than it actually is, and that drives business from potential clients to you. Now, as far as cost is concerned, over the years, the cost of website development has drastically been reduced through commoditization. So you can look at paying for a website. It can be as little as 500 US dollars to as much as 10, 15, 20,000 US dollars, depending on what you want to accomplish with the site. And it's important to establish precisely what you want to accomplish. Your site has to be aligned with your business goals and strategies. And
Yes.
you have to look at that to ensure that what you invest gives you a good return on your investment based on what your business wants to accomplish.
Okay. And I knew this question was going to come. Just to take a quick step back, how do you get a .com.jm name? Where you go if you sign up for that?
Right. So currently the .com, well, the .jm, anything with a .jm attached to it, is currently handled by UE. So if you go to the website of the University of the West Indies and you go to MITS, I'm going to see if I can tell you before the interview is over the exact URL. And
Okay.
if you go to MITS, there is or can I share the URL in one of the
Yeah,
chat?
so we can, once you share with us, we can post it also in the comments
Outstanding.
so
Okay,
that
well,
people can find it.
I'll
Yeah.
do that. And once you go there, there's a form that you have to fill out,
Mm-hmm.
and you submit that form. And once you submit that form, it takes them a couple of days to get it sorted out for you. And once you submit that form, they ask you some very specific
The
questions.
questions, yeah.
And, once you submit that form, you have a .com.jm
.jm.
or .org.jm or any one of those. Yeah.
Yes. So, in terms of the website, because you talked about that it could cost 500 US to several thousand, depending on what you are trying to create on your website. For
Right.
those businesses that say, listen, let me try to find one of those services that I can build my own website. What kind of costs does that run? And is that something that, as a starting point, you would recommend that businesses explore, just at least have a web footprint?
Yeah, absolutely. So services like Wix, GoDaddy, those kinds of companies, they provide tools that allow you to build your own site. And those tools are a lot less expensive, and they do come with specific limitations. But if all you want to do is to get an online presence, provide
Yes.
information about your company, so that people can at least see what you're about and have a way to contact you, then these kinds of services are more than adequate to do that. If, however, you are now looking to be, a little more
As Jamaicans would say, hype up. We want to hype it up. So you want to hype it up a bit. Yeah.
I mean, and you can still get a fair amount of hype from, like, a Wix.
From Wix and GoDaddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But if you want to go a little bit further, and especially if you want to now be way more interactive, have some more intelligence in your site, or if you're looking to do, e-commerce, selling things, selling products online, you may have to take it a little step above that, because the interactivity needs to be custom, the kinds of engagement that you may want, and also the environment that must exist, especially when you're doing e-commerce online. You want to make sure that you are protecting the information that you're collecting from customers, and you want to make sure that
Yeah. Which takes us to, that would be website security.
Yes.
Because that is also a very important consideration, especially too when we're getting into e-commerce. Can you just tell us a little bit, what are some of the considerations that we need to bear in mind for website security?
Right. So the first major one is all browsers, as of I think 2018, made it a requirement for websites to be secured. So if your website is not secured, and I'm going to tell you how you do that. Whenever somebody visits your website, every browser is going to have a little thing in the URL bar that says not secure. Now that by itself dissuades people from continuing to browse or to use your site.
Okay.
To get your site secure, what you need to get is a thing called an SSL certificate. SSL
I see that tomorrow. Yes.
Sorry?
I've seen it come up, that SSL.
Right. And what that looks like is a little padlock that represents secure in the browser window. What it also represents is what they call secure HTTPS, and that's the protocol that is used to display your website when you type it into a browser. So, so once you get an SSL certificate and apply it to your website, your site now ensures that information that is being transferred between your site and the people that are browsing it is secure.
Okay.
And now, there are a number of different types of SSL certificates, but you can get an SSL certificate for general security these days for free.
Yes.
And you can pay up to about $300 to $400 a year for the more expensive certificates, which give you greater levels of security and insurance. That's primarily where you get certain coverage, especially when you're doing e-commerce or selling things, that if data is compromised, you're covered by the provider of the SSL certificate, so that you can ensure that to your customers who are engaging you online, that whatever
their information is secure.
Or if they leave a credit card on your site or that kind of stuff, when they're exchanging information with you, it is secure. That's a critical thing now. You have various levels of SSL certificate, but depending on what you're doing online with your website, that's what determines which SSL certificate you need to acquire.
Okay, so Trevor, you've talked to us about just some basic considerations why you should have a domain name, and you've told us about .com JM, reminded us that our website is still in. It gives us that initial digital address on our digital journey. There are different versions we can get depending on what we're trying to portray, but that usually gives us an opportunity to showcase our business to the world. You went through, and I see Justine has, thanks Justine, some of the services we can use to build our own websites. GoDaddy, Wix, Justine also added Namecheap in there. And also something that we must be thinking about, because we are in the e-commerce world and COVID is making that more real, and it's not going away. We are in an e-commerce world. The importance of security. So, sometimes as small business, we see all kinds of things pop up, SSL, and we're like, go away. because we're not sure what it means. No, this means a little bit more to us. If you do not have our weekly memo, please email us at sme@psoj.org, because this information is all in that memo. We did a previous episode on digital too that you can go back to smallbusinessportal.com and you can find that info. Trevor, before we wrap up, and I mean, you have been just a wealth of what they call them now, hacks. The email now.
Yes.
Yes. Because we're in this world now where WhatsApp seems to be like the thing. Is email still a valuable marketing and communication tool, and what are the best ways that we can be using our email going forward as small businesses?
All right. So contrary to popular belief, email is still a thing. In fact, if you look at some of the statistics out there, globally, you have 3 times more email accounts in existence than you have social media accounts combined. And that's significant because what it means, and what the most recent statistics have shown, is that more people still subscribe to emails to engage with different brands, more so than with social media. The statistics demonstrate this. So what you find is, I mean, okay, if you think about what has been discovered about how people use email, almost 60% of people, when they get up in the morning, check email before they go to social media. Only 14% of people check social media first when they get up in the morning. And you find that more people tend to subscribe to services that a brand might be selling, to get deals, to know when deals are occurring. More people look to email to get that information as opposed to what they see on social media. So email is still very important. It's not to take away from social media, but email is still considered king of the hill as it relates to that. From a business standpoint, you get a greater return on investment when you use email as your primary marketing tool. And just to answer the last part of your question, what are some of the best ways to use email? First, let me say this, because as I'm really into data protection and security. One of the first things that you're going to have to consider nowadays when you're using email is compliance with data protection laws. So to ensure that when people subscribe to your email newsletters or feeds or so on, that you provide them with a way to opt out or to opt in or double opt in, so that you're in compliance with data protection laws. This is going to become a very serious.
And for those of you who did not join for our data protection webinar, you can also go back to Small Business Portal, because we also address that point, which is so key. And one of the other things, Trevor, that I think it is important to reinforce with email, because we think email is a thing of the past. Those statistics are fascinating, but also just remember too that sometimes the contracts that we sign with customers and with other businesses, notification is not via WhatsApp, it's not via DM, it usually is via old-time post, but very importantly, email. So our email,
right?
Yes. So, wow, Trevor, thank you so much. This has been such a great conversation, and we are reawakening of the importance of websites, of domain names, of ways that we're able to utilize even the .jm, which is so good for us to, as Jamaican companies, to be able to utilize that .jm. I see Michael asked a question about, because you piqued people's interest with the e-commerce, and Michael, we're doing e-commerce next week. So Trevor, thank you so much. For those of you who are just joining us, Trevor is the CEO of 876 Solutions. Trevor, where can our viewers find you? Because I know there are several more questions that they will want to ask.
So 876solutions.com. Don't forget. 876solutions.com.dm. My email address is Trevor Forest, one word, at 876solutions.com, or even more simple, sales at 876solutions.com. You can contact us that way.
Okay, and we'll post that information in the chat. So thank you so much, Trevor, for starting off our conversation on beginning your digital journey. And it's still January, so Happy New Year again.
All right, same to you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Trevor. So we just had a great conversation with Trevor Forest on beginning your digital journey. And we talked about what some people think are some old school things like website, the good old website, as well as your email. So we're switching the conversation now as we're taking some further steps on our digital journey. And please remember that we will be having weekly webinars that will culminate in at a midpoint with our Let's Go Digital Conference. Can you imagine all of this information and more packed into one scintillating day that you as MSMEs will be able to leave with solutions with how you can get your business digitized? There's nothing else like this. But coming up to it, every week we'll be having webinars on technology. And after the conference, we will continue those sessions because it is our goal to ensure that as many MSMEs as possible are digitized by the end of 2021. This is a new world. This is the digital world. And as we're talking about the digital world, them say it's a time for young people. So welcoming at this time, Craig Powe, the dynamic CEO of Adtelligent. He has several years experience in digital marketing, and his deep understanding of algorithms of online marketing is the spearhead behind the unique marketing strategies that have elevated Adtelligent from being a small team to a profitable company. You will see today he's a charismatic salesman, logician, and a talented young executive whose ability to brainstorm and understand data and numbers allows him to drive the team towards the client's goal. Now, you're saying to yourself, what does this have to do with social media? So Craig is going to talk to us about the science behind social media. And Craig is a familiar face because he appeared on COVIDCast last year. And in fact, he has come back by popular demand. And as Craig reminded me backstage earlier, that in a few short months, the social media landscape has changed so dramatically that we've had to even update the information we've provided in our memo. So can you imagine that if you email us at sme@psoj.org, you will see a full listing of all the social media choices available, how to use them, and at the back of it, an entire reference link that you are able to click through. Please register sme@psoj.org. Craig, welcome back.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Rochelle. Thank you for having me here again.
So, Craig, we really just have to Adtelligent has been a leader in the digital marketing space. And one of the things I just want you to start out with is, what have you seen as some of the major trends now in the digital marketing space?
Okay, that's a great question, Rochelle. And hi, everybody here. I think I'm going to start by reading out some new statistics. So from January 2019 to January 2020, before the COVID pandemic, social media users in Jamaica grew by 106,000, right? So that's about an 8% growth from last year. So we're over 1.3 something million active users, only a 300,000 difference between how many internet users are active every single day or month in Jamaica. So that's a huge percentage. But since COVID, that growth has just been through the roof. I don't have the exact stats of the Jamaican growth yet. By February, we'll be able to calculate it. But the US market stats have already come out. and overall, social media users have grown by 13%, the fastest amount ever in 1 year from 2020 to 2021. That's from 3.8 billion to about 4 point something billion users. And for the first time ever in America, people are spending more time on their phone than watching TV. So it's about, it's about 7 hours on your phone, 7 hours using the internet every single day. This includes Netflix, YouTube, and about 4 hours a day people are watching YouTube and Netflix, consuming video. So versus the 3.7 hours on average, they're watching TV. So, social media has really skyrocketed in 2020, that whole COVID year, and now we're sitting on it. And there's some other stats specifically because when I speak to our clients, they're always concerned about Generation X and the baby boomers. So Generation X would be, you, and then right before the baby boomers. So baby boomers are anyone who's over 56.
Oh, it's not like me soon dead though.
No, not at all.
Just joking.
But people who are actually over 56 to about 74 have been using social media by a lot more during the pandemic. Specifically Facebook and YouTube. A lot of them are actually on it. I think the stats now is about 78% of people who have internet who are over 56 in the Western Hemisphere log on to Facebook every single month, which is a huge number. It's more than YouTube. It's about 67% for YouTube, but those platforms are really showing growth, especially when the election was happening. You go on Facebook and comment, on what's happening in the US, and so the world is changing, and you can see it because on our side, Adtelligent, I'll just be very frank, in the first quarter was our worst quarter ever. We had lost, a lot of clients, all hotel clients disappeared, and some of our new contracts coming in, went away. But by the end of this year, we had so much more business because people had to step up their marketing on social media. The ad spend alone on video, on purchasing ads on YouTube and Facebook is up by 95% for that whole year. And we're seeing it too, because Grace Kennedy, for example, they decided to spend a lot more money with us because, they didn't have the opportunity to do the physical things. So right now,
see companies are really, and large companies are actually pushing their digital footprint. So Craig, one of the things that you just mentioned that I think is so critical for us to talk through, even as we're looking at the various social media platforms. So as we're going through, I want you to touch too on the age ranges, because I think sometimes as we're thinking of social media, we focus so much on young people that we forget that there's a huge marketplace with the baby boomers, with retired persons, and they interface with social media and different types of social media differently, but they are super active users, very active users. So let's talk through and let's start with Facebook, because that was like the foundation. Let's start with Facebook. Tell us a little bit about how these platforms operate. So I'll just take you through each of them. Facebook first.
Okay, great. So first thing, Facebook in the world, that's the most popular social media site globally, right? Facebook also owns Instagram and also owns WhatsApp. So it's definitely the most powerful social media company. In Jamaica, it has the most users. I will say that some of the younger crowd, and I specifically mean high-end Gen X and Gen Z, they're spending more time on other platforms. And then Gen Z, some of them don't have Facebook. But in terms of total usage time in Jamaica, it's definitely the highest by far. And with the people who have, spending power, they all have Facebook accounts. So that's the first thing.
That's very interesting. So, and that you mentioned that the many of the users with spending power are on Facebook. Because there's been a move by a lot of small businesses through COVID to focus their efforts on Instagram, but you really do have to look at which market you are targeting. So can we move on to Instagram?
Okay, so Instagram, it has a high-end user and it has a lot of young people, because what Instagram is about is lifestyle. And an average person who doesn't really have anything to show, who's a working class, middle-income person, is not going to be as active on a platform of that nature. But a person who is middle income and above, right, who is, 30 plus there and it's popular, they're going to have social media. So have Instagram. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, every young person, like, they're going to have Instagram because, that's where they're going. They're showing off their lifestyle, showing off what they're doing. So what we find for some of our, like, let's say a product like Butcher Block, which is one of our clients, we get a lot more success showcasing their meat products on Instagram because people who want to cook high-end stuff are usually on Instagram looking at that. But, we're not going to use that platform as the be all and end all. Like, that wouldn't necessarily be the best thing for Grace. Grace is getting a lot more success on Facebook because that has a bigger, wider, audience share.
Okay, so that is something very important, that even as we're considering social media, business practices of knowing where your market is located, and what messages to send on the platforms. So Facebook tends to be a lot more commentary, and Instagram tends to be a little bit more lifestyle oriented. Is that?
Yeah. So some of the brands that we find do well on Instagram. So, like, banks don't necessarily do well on Instagram because a bank is not like going to have a lot of engagement. But if you go on their Facebook page, lots of comments. How can I deal with this? They're trying to get help. But Butcher Block and Boss Furniture, those are two of our clients now. They're doing very well on Instagram because, one is a furniture company. Everyone wants to look at furniture during COVID and buy new things for their house. And then one is showing, what you can cook. So those brands, and of course clothing and some other things that are in that nature, do very, very well on Instagram.
Very interesting. Twitter. Talk about Twitter. We know some people have been blocked from Twitter. Let me just
yes.
before we go on. Jana Patterson. Hi, Jana. Welcome back. Jana is one of our usual viewers. Jana says, marketing your business online is so important now. Social media is no longer just for the youth. Make the social media connection or get left behind. And Craig, we also had a poll. Does your business have a website? And 36% of our viewers said that they do have a website. And in fact, 64% said that they have no website. So very interesting. And after the conversation with Trevor, we expect that number to go up a bit. So we've talked about Facebook, we've talked about Instagram. Let's turn to Twitter now.
Okay. So Twitter is an important platform for, I think, businesses who have a lot to communicate. So Flow, Digicel, NCB, JMB, JN, those type of companies have to be on Twitter because if they have a live update, that's where people are going to be able to interact and news people are following, that works for them. I personally don't think a lot of companies get a lot of value from Twitter because, there's no reason for people to interact with them in that type of live status. Now, if you're a big brand, yes, you can actually be on Twitter, and you have to hire a really smart person to create engaging content or snarky or cool content, because what people are going to do on Twitter is to think about things, talk about their, what's happening in the world and other interesting things. And your brand probably isn't the most interesting brand. So I don't necessarily recommend to do that. Now, where I say for small businesses, professional people, lawyers, doctors, engineers, IT people, marketing people like myself, even if someone who is a professional flower maker, you guys can go on Twitter because you're representing yourself. And if you are an interesting person and you're tweeting, that does very well. There's a guy named Gordon Swaby who owns a business. It's Eddie, I think it's Eddie Focal, and he's popular on Twitter. And although he's not necessarily pushing his business, but just because he's an interesting person, that has added a value and benefit to, Eddie Focal. But he's not saying, let me try to make Eddie Focal the most interesting thing. But he's saying, I'm interesting and this is my brand. So if you are an interesting person, I'd say go on Twitter and talk. But outside of that, the only thing you should do is just register the handle. So in case your business ever gets big, no one can take it from you, but leave it alone.
No, and interesting you say that about Twitter, because Twitter is a lot more about commentary. And as I've heard it described, it makes sense if you actually have useful commentary, and that will benefit. But as you say, ensure that you actually have your handle, because you may want it at some point and you don't want somebody to have your handle. So Now, WhatsApp for business, because we talk about WhatsApp in a very global manner, but there is WhatsApp for business. Can we talk a little bit about WhatsApp for business?
Yes. I just realized I should have explained how to set up a Facebook page very quickly, and then go back to that.
Actually, I want to go back to that setup
I'll
of
do that.
the Facebook page, but I just wanted to ensure that we touched all of these, and then we actually go back to Facebook.
Okay.
And as Dr. Smith, welcome, Dr. Smith says, everybody should have the memo from this week. Guys, that's something you will walk around with, print and walk under your arm, just like that.
It's good.
So,
it's really is.
Yeah. Tell us about WhatsApp for business.
Okay, so WhatsApp for business, I think, works really, really well for small businesses because a lot of people are using WhatsApp. Although Trevor did say that there are more email users than they are on a social media account, which is factual because to have a social media account, by definition, you have to have an email. So there's no way that, it's going to pass. And the truth is, for anyone who isn't a Gen Z, that's 1995 and above, they are checking their emails before they go to work and they're doing things. Gen Z people, they check social media by the hour, every hour. So, that's different. But Jamaica is a WhatsApp country. WhatsApp is free for Wi-Fi, so our penetration levels on WhatsApp is way, way higher than any other country that you're looking at. So if you look at the American stats on usage times, that shows no reflection for the amount of time we spend on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is where we have conversations with our family, we have our WhatsApp groups, we have our girlfriends, our boyfriends, our kids. I mean, literally a lot of things are happening on WhatsApp. Now, the convenience of it is it's super easy for me to transition from talking to my friend and family to asking a business a question about a delivery or something like that. So WhatsApp for business allows you to directly get into the communication channel that pretty much, I would say, it's not a real stat, but I bet you 90% of internet using people in Jamaica have WhatsApp. So anyone who has a mobile phone who has internet, I bet you they're using WhatsApp. And if you can communicate with them directly and you have a professional profile picture, and WhatsApp Business gives you a lot of features like logging on to the internet, allowing the number to be duplicated on different cell phones where other people can respond. So the owner could have it and then give it to another person. I mean, these are some powerful features that allow for saved chats.
Is it a separate app? Or it's
so there's
a separate app?
So that's like how there's Instagram for business and you have a specific account. There's like a WhatsApp for business account, and that gives you some features. So, if me and Rochelle were to talk and I could go scroll back up the chat, that's kind of a cool feature that if I have another executive on my WhatsApp for business account, they can follow the chat I had with that potential client of mine because the chat is saved. So it creates those regular features, but turns it into a business platform, which allows multiple people to log on and also, export things and just a couple other functionalities that are not available.
That extra functionality, if you go into your regular WhatsApp, you can upgrade to WhatsApp for business?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Because, I was there wondering, because I know we have it for Instagram for business, but in terms of the functionality of sharing that chat, that is something too that as our small businesses are communicating more and more, many small businesses will post their information along with a WhatsApp number to reach to them. This is so helpful. And we have to mention LinkedIn. Do we need LinkedIn?
Yeah. So, okay, LinkedIn is very, very, very important. Very, 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 very important for professional people, right? Anyone who's a professional person, I would recommend you to have a LinkedIn. Because what happens is if I'm hiring somebody, like as a consultant, I can look at you and see references. If I go on Rochelle's profile right now, first of all, I can see a background of what she was doing before, she was doing what she's doing now. There are references, who she knows. There's like people giving her ratings and reviews. I mean, it's like the Yelp for professional people. By Yelp, I mean TripAdvisor or that for those who don't know Yelp. So if you don't, it has a lot of cool functionality. Like for me, you can go and search by graduating year and degree. So when I'm hiring somebody, I usually go on LinkedIn and say, okay, Yui, graduating year 2018 and above, who studied computer science. And I look for people who post, because I say anyone who posts on their LinkedIn profile, is someone who's actively thinking about business and wants to be, a future executive or something. So, there's a lot of benefit to it. Now, there's also the direct message feature where you can actually message other people who potentially want services like yours. So I get tons of messages on LinkedIn all the time from people from Ukraine, India, the USA, asking, hey, are you hiring IT people? We can help you outsource that. Do you need X consulting? But I've never gotten a message from a Jamaican company saying, do I need anything? So that's a whole avenue that people aren't really using, but it's global.
And the thing too is that sometimes our small businesses, there's so much coming at us that we say, oh, let me deal with the LinkedIn later on. But sometimes the very business that you're doing, you are the face of the business, and the business is depending on your expertise. And you get a great opportunity that as people are searching for you, they also get a background, because remember, people buy services from us just because they like the owner. So this is a place you should have a professional headshot and go through your LinkedIn. LinkedIn also, it gives you like even assessment of whether your profile stay good or there are things that to it. So thank you for that, Craig, that reminder about LinkedIn. And then now, we have to wrap up with the YouTube and the TikTok.
Okay, so YouTube, I'm going to give you an interesting statistic right now. So for those of us who have Netflix, just so you know, the average YouTube on Netflix, who has both platforms, watches 4 times more content on YouTube than Netflix in 2020 to 2021. So YouTube outperforms Netflix, and that includes all that binge watching, the Bridgerton and all those shows. Literally, people are watching more YouTube than that. So that's a very, very powerful platform. And in terms of your advertising on a platform, people are watching more YouTube than TV, at least in internet users. I don't watch cable TV at all, right? So that's me. But I know in Jamaica, of course, TVJ is still the number one. I think it's about 9% of people who watch TV are watching TVJ at any point in time. But still, YouTube allows for some crazy targeted ads, and the cost for YouTube ads is actually way cheaper than Facebook because of how they charge for ads. So we find some crazy success, and you can see Flow. I know the Flow ad by heart because of how much times I see it on YouTube. I've seen Burrito's ads like crazy on YouTube. I've seen Sagicor's ads on crazy on YouTube. None of those people are a client except for Flow. We've done some work with them, but still, these are people who are going on YouTube and buying ad and having success. Separately, if you just put up a YouTube video and you just leave it there, like your restaurant. Trying to remember who it was. It was a Sora Sky Cuisine. They have like 4,000 views on it. Just like a simple minute video. Probably got somebody to just shoot something there, and they put a Sora Japanese restaurant Jamaica. Anytime you search on Google, because Google is owned, YouTube is owned by Google, those videos pop up and people watch it, and then they might come to your business. So there's a lot of value in just putting up a YouTube video and leaving it there because you don't know what will happen. Exactly. Yeah, just leave it.
And just leave it. What about TikTok? Well, before we go there, we did another poll. Which platform does your business use most often? Facebook or Instagram was 59%, WhatsApp 31%, YouTube 7%, and Twitter 3%. TikTok wasn't on this list. TikTok. What's up with TikTok?
So TikTok is the most interesting platform to come out of 2020, 2021. It was there before, but in 2018, it had about 600 something million users worldwide. After 2020, it's over a billion. And by over a billion, I mean over a billion monthly active users. So it's very intense. And people are now spending more time. The average TikTok user spends more time on TikTok than they are on spending time on Facebook, right? And Instagram. So it's like they've just gone. It's that great.
And you mentioned earlier that they are particular, because we're talking about, is TikTok even something that you should consider for your business? And you written a Tide ad.
Yeah, okay. I believe, and this is something I want to work on with Grace and some other clients, people are exporting to the American market, especially to the millennial generation, prior 1995 and some Gen X. TikTok is one of the greatest tools, right? Because it's a new platform, which means that there's no decided leaders in it yet, and there's a whole heap of ways to kind of enter the market, and that's where all the new stars are coming from. And the way how it works in terms of propagating a song or a theme. So how TikTok works is you upload a video to a custom sound or someone's sound that's already there. So there's like a meme, like a popular song, and then people say, oh, let's all do the same dance move to that. Now, if you have an ad, what Tide did a little song and a dance challenge, right? And paid a couple of influencers in India, like maybe about 10 or 15, not that much, and had them produce this little video, but they're very popular people at home. This concept was seen 5.3 billion times in the span of 6 months, right? So people started creating their own Tide ads, recreating this thing over and over and over and over and over again, which is all free advertising. So people are interacting with brands and doing crazy things. And I mean, if you guys have heard of the cranberry juice guy who just was drinking some cranberry juice on a bicycle and sing a song, that led to a resurgence in cranberry juice sales all across. So much so, this cranberry CEO gave him a free truck and a lifetime supply of cranberry juice. This is ocean spray. So this TikTok thing is not something to underestimate. And I suspect that in Jamaica, there's a lot of Gen Z and millennial people on the platform using it, because when I go on it, there's a lot of content there, and somebody could actually utilize that to push something. If I was an entertainment brand, I would say, hey, jump on TikTok. If I was a food brand like Grace, anyone has a very wide thing. Now, if I'm a bank in Jamaica, no, I wouldn't tell you to go on TikTok. That's very hard, and you've a better time just spending your money on Facebook. And lastly, I would say I've seen professionals have success on TikTok, but only a professional that is selling to an overseas market who can go viral on that. Because I saw a guy, he's my friend in college, Texas, right? He just made a video to say, hey, I run a social media agency. You can spend $1,000 with me to learn, you could earn $1,000 working a basic job a month, or you could learn from me and find out how to get $5,000 a month from 2 clients. And that got 200,000 views in literally 3 days, and it got him a lot of clients paying him money to learn his business. So there are opportunities there on TikTok.
Yeah. So in other words, we really shouldn't be discounting any of these platforms. It's truly understanding how to use them and the demographics, and actually staying on top of how the demographics are working. I know earlier we talked about Facebook, and you always have some interesting recommendations with Facebook and setting up your Facebook page. Kenny Fairmont says, make sure your profile is at the all-star level. He's talking about LinkedIn. Have a professional photo. Do not list your job title, but rather list how you will help organizations or individuals in the header section. You must also show up as a thought leader on LinkedIn in your area of expertise by posting engaging and helpful content. Thank you very much for that, Kenny. So let's talk about Facebook.
I agree. I think the same concept he said about setting up LinkedIn is what we should take on to Facebook. So the beauty of Facebook, and this is Facebook and another platform called Google My Business, is that if you don't have a website, it can serve as your digital piece of real estate. That's what Trevor was talking about earlier. Facebook has a wonderful tool called Facebook Business Pages, which actually has a template that sets up the page exactly by industry. So if you're a restaurant, it will give you a menu, it will show you, those things are specific to you. Yes. Now, all you have to do, you don't have to post anything, is create a nice header image at the top, a good profile picture, which is your logo, and then list out your services and your prices and put your location. And then anytime someone Googles that, they're going to actually find that page and see your number, your opening hours, and that just creates a whole heap of business for you, even if you're not doing anything. And Facebook literally makes it really easy with the page. Now, I want you to guys just hear this. If PSJ can write this out, go on canva.com to just do the free graphic design. There's actually there's templates for the header banner and also the profile picture that is the exact dimensions you need, and it's a free tool that will help you set it up. So if you just go Canva and then go on Facebook, that's everything you need to set up a great Facebook page.
Okay. I actually just, as you were going, I just went on and typed in some of what you're saying to see how it works. And Canva is such a useful tool free. I mean, you can upgrade to different levels, but even for the free graphics that you get, you can certainly utilize those things to populate your page. Now, Craig, just you mentioned that Facebook still has such a wide audience. And there has just been a view that Facebook is for old-time people. Can we just talk a little bit about why Facebook for business?
So you have to think about what people are doing on Facebook, right? The first thing is they're coming to get news, right? Just like how people go on Twitter. They're coming to see lifestyle, just like people are doing on Instagram. They're coming to have conversations with their friends, just like they're doing on WhatsApp. They're coming to reconnect with their family, just like what they used to do in real life. And they're also coming to watch content, just like what they're doing on YouTube. Facebook has actually encapsulated almost all of the different aspects that these other platforms have. And because they were the oldest in terms of like powerful social media platform, they just have that base, the critical mass that absorbs people in it. And because Facebook owns their largest competitor, which is Instagram, they have copied most of the features of Instagram as well. So if you go on Instagram and you have stories, Facebook has stories, WhatsApp has stories. I mean, they own the right to that, right? So, and just the people who use Facebook, they're just super active. They come on the platform, they're in groups. Like I'm in a lost dog Jamaica group, and literally, I go in there and I never posted, but I see people commenting and say, "Hey, I'm trying to save this dog. I'm trying to do this thing." So there's a lot more stuff happening. If you're in a political party, there's PMP, JLP social media groups. I mean, the amount of activity that happens there in these private groups literally is one of the biggest draws for the platform. Instagram doesn't have that. Instagram is just DMs between your friend, DM between your girlfriend, DM between that person you're checking, and then you're liking pictures and looking at story. It doesn't have the ability to keep you as long and engaged as a Facebook would.
That's very interesting. And even as we talked earlier about optimizing the platforms, posts are getting a little bit more innovative now. So people are trying to use videos and graphics. Some videos are a little more successful than others. And people wonder, like, how do I get my business video to be viral? What can I do to that graphic that will actually is there like some science behind how you post graphics?
Yes, there is a science. There is a science. So Facebook actually has recommendations. You're supposed to try to keep your the graphic to have less than 25% text. So if you can take the quarter of my screen, like right here, and I'm trying to see, okay, like, yeah, come like this, but yeah, okay, perfect. That's all you can have for text. Anything more than that, they're going to punish you.
So like blah, blah.
Yeah, because they're saying, they don't want that. That's just clutter. The next thing is videos. I mean, videos are worth more on social media, on Facebook and YouTube, and even Instagram now than pictures, because videos keep people on the platform longer and allow you to sell more ads. So Facebook prioritizes video content. And in fact, funny enough, it's actually long form video content is what's prioritized, because YouTube, if you get a 30-minute video and you watch it for 30 minutes, that person can see 4 ads, right? So they actually, in the algorithm, propagate that content a lot further. But what I would say to people now, and I mean, this was a big argument with Grace Kelly and I before, because I was always saying, hey, long content is this. Surprisingly, in 2020, and I've admitted I was wrong, it's actually changed back now for ads. The 15-second ad, I find, is one of the best formats for CPG people, anyone has short, like, lots of brand awareness, your Pepsi, KFC, those type of people. There's a new ad placement that came out in 2019 to 2020, which is on YouTube and Facebook, which is a non-skippable ad, which is only 15 seconds. And literally, those ads that before the YouTube video, it pops up. But if it's a minute long, you can skip in 5 seconds. But if it's 15 seconds long, you can't skip it. Those ads are literally amazing because you can force it down people's throat and they have to remember it, and it doesn't cost very much. So my strategy with our clients now is producing 15-second videos as the bulk of the reach, and then also getting a long-form content video that explains something complicated, just kind of like what we're doing here to create that engagement.
And I see Nicole is asking, Craig, can you give us an idea of the cost range related to producing videos for social media?
So it depends on who you are and what you're trying to do, because if you're talking about what it costs for you to do it or what it costs for us to do it, I'll give you both. So if Adtelligent is working with a Grace Kennedy or those type of people, we are charging anywhere above 8,000, 10,000 something US, and that's for commercial. But Grace Kennedy, you have to pay the talent at least $100,000 because they're in a Grace Kennedy commercial. They can't be in any commercials for the rest of the year.
What about our small business? We need to hear about that.
Yeah. Now for small businesses, for Adtelligent, I mean, we're doing stuff for, 2,000 US, 3,000 US, because what we're trying to do at that point, we're going to your office, we're doing a lot of B-roll. You're probably the star. We're not using that much production and renting out locations. And I mean, we try to package it together because our cost is expended when we go to your place and we write a script. So we say, hey, okay, we'll come to your office and we'll shoot maybe 4 videos in the day for the 2-5, and we'll just split them up. So that is how we get it affordable for clients. Now, if I was you and I didn't have that money, what I would actually do is use my phone. The new iPhones are really crazy. Buy a little studio light or something and just kind of showcase, and you can produce a video at that rate. The cost of producing commercials for small companies actually going down like crazy, to the point where even us as Adtelligent are at an existential crisis because there's more video media producers than ever before, that we have to look at how do we price things to be competitive on the lower end level. On the high end level, those corporate people are always going to have to buy from agencies. But for the smaller business, when you have a nephew or someone out there who's pretty good with a camera, and because of YouTube has learned all these tricks, we have to look, how are we going to compete with that, right?
Yeah. And so this is, in fact, so there is the part of the world where we can utilize what we have, and there's also utilizing the professionals who are also going to be pushing your content in a different way. Folks, please keep those comments and questions coming. Loving it. Dr. Smith says, we learned something interesting in the 2021 World Business and Executive Coach Summit. Intimate attention to your followers, that's interactions, comments, timely feedback and answers, will make your business page much more impactful and valuable. Businesses that are non-interactive limit their potential and income. Your thoughts on that?
I think that is 100% correct. One thing, even for us, we have to try to manage the interactivity of our page. I'll take Butcher Block. Butcher Block is an interactive brand because people can actually cook the product. And because it's a high-end product, people like to actually go on Instagram stories and comment at Butcher Block, I'm making at Butcher Block steak, I'm making at Butcher Block lamb. And so one of our jobs is to interact in the story back, to repost it, to show them, hey, we see you interacting. Now, Grace, if I'm using Grace Ketchup, I'm not going to post my story because everyone uses Grace Ketchup. But if I'm an American person, I might tag Grace. So these are some of the new interactions that are being created that we as a company have to
manage. And
manage.
just like a small business, because sometimes when we hear of the bigger businesses, we're like, but I can't manage that. When we have our pages and the customers are saying, oh my, that product looks really good, how should you be interacting and answering those DMs?
Okay, I'll give you a really good one. Has anyone heard of the restaurant Julie Mango? Julie Mango, yeah. So it's a new restaurant by one of the day spas. This restaurant has actually gotten popular literally because of the background wall with that little chair, the rocking chair, and people posting it on their Instagram story. And what the restaurant has done is to just continue to repost it. But as more influencers post it and they're interacting with it, it gets a lot more popular. Now, when people are commenting as well, like, for example, Boss Furniture, which we've done a new commercial. This is a small or medium business. We never knew how much great brand sentiment Boss Furniture had already, because a lot of people have Boss beds, Boss stuff. People started commenting a lot. Hey, Boss is good for the year, or I've had Boss for a long time. So what we decided to do was make a testimonial video. Someone free of cost just actually did a video testimony. We edited that into a little piece and posted it there. There's actually stuff we can utilize. Like if customers are talking about your brand, I think the stats are 74% of people prefer referrals to you telling them to buy your product. So if you use someone saying, hey, this is good, That's probably the best idea. You know, if I told you, hey, buy from Adtelligent, but that doesn't really work. But if Rochelle said it, that's worth a lot more.
Yeah, and I've noticed that a lot more businesses are utilizing influencers, or you do get some mileage too when people are reposting in their stories your product, that they're at your business place and so on. So we also have to, you know, when you post that back in your story, that also is creating that movement. But with the interactions, and thank you for that point, Dr. Smith, the interactions, you can't just post the things and leave the people there. And we answered your question because Andy wanted to know, how do you get the transcript for this? Please, again, guys, you cannot miss this week's memo. This week's memo is a must-have. All our memos are also available on smallbusinessportal.com. Get on that mailing list, sme@psoj.org. Craig, we have to be wrapping up shortly, but
should I answer that question about the digital sales funnel?
Yes, because we can't leave without answering that question.
Yeah. So the digital sales funnel, I think, is the most important thing. I wrote the 3 companies that I think you should interact with at the end of that, which is the actual transaction. WePay being number 1. Number 2, First Atlantic and NCB Figaro, right? Those 3 things are the new way to go. So someone had asked earlier, how do you get the money from PayPal to transfer to Jamaica? And I'll just tell you, right now in 2020, we don't have to do that. There are 3 solutions that can get you money into your Jamaican bank account with instantly.
Tune in next week, because next week we're getting into that deep discussion on e-commerce. So Michael, ensure you are tuned in next week. Justine asked, what if you're trying to build a brand for yourself and just starting out but aren't doing ads as yet? How can you reach your audience and grow it at a good pace on Instagram? Should you reach out by messaging people, or do you ask them to follow or send you direct links to check out your content? How do you get people engaged to follow you on Instagram and to grow followership?
I think that's a pretty good question. And the first thing I would say is start by just doing what you need to do, as in posting good content, right? Now, obviously, people are going to see it, but if you're, let's just say a bit clever now, and we start to go on popular people's page and leave comments, interesting comments on other popular people's page. Most times, people actually click on the person who says something interesting and to see your profile. So that's free. If you spend, even since it's a serious endeavor, like you're trying to build a brand, and not those comments like follow my brand and blah 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 blah. That's not going to work. But if you say like go and comment on each page, like 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day, just go on a lot of top pages and comment on them. You'd be surprised of how much followers you'd get from that. Secondly, use hashtags, because people are still using those things to track, right? That's very, very important. And stick with it. You know, you might be surprised. One thing you might have actually might go viral, but you know, if you don't have any money to spend on social media or to doing your brand stuff, you just comment on things. And okay, one last thing, use the new Instagram Live feature where you can collaborate with people. So find other small brands that are like you trying stuff and do those collaborative lives. Even if there are only 5 viewers, it's going to leave that thing in the live thing afterwards. And because they have a different cross-section of viewers as you. So if you have 1,000 followers and they have 1,000 followers, you might grow because you might get 300 of theirs afterwards. So that's a useful thing. So you can do all of those things for free.
Yeah, and thank you very much for that point, Craig, because sometimes we think, okay, you do a live and there's only 5 people watching, but that's 5 additional people that may follow you and are spreading the news.
Yeah, I mean, the PSOJ
so to get
one
to
is
20,000 views, you have to start somewhere.
PSOJ's finance. This webinar is mostly watched after. So I mean, you know, if we were counting. So if we were counting on the live viewers, I mean, you know, it's mostly watched after at your convenience. You know, if you're
and that's so important to the continuation of the messaging. Michael asking a great question: is Figaro the best option for receiving payments? Michael, we actually did a live with NCB, so we've done one of these programs where we also talked about that Figaro software platform on that program. So you can visit smallbusinessportal.com ahead of our show next week that we'll get into more e-commerce to look back to see. And there was such great content and useful information. And for all our viewers, if this is your first time watching us, you can binge watch or 38 other episodes on smallbusinessportal.com on the psoj.org page. Please follow us on this page. So I know you just said don't follow a while ago, but follow and comment. Craig, thank you so much for this very vital information and all. The email, the SME memo this week, you must have it. Email us at sme@psoj.org. Sandra Palmer says, loving the tips. Dr. Smith says, I'll have to reschedule my Thursday evening. Craig, what do you want to leave our audience with tonight?
Please really read the memo, because actually most of us were interviewed and we wrote a very detailed description talking more in detail on every section here, and it tells you exactly what to do. With references and links and everything is there. It's really easy to use. And go home. You're at home now, right? Probably. Just make sure you have a Facebook business page. Set up your LinkedIn page if you don't have one already, and go on Google My Business and set up a Google page where you have and take a little pictures, so that way if you have a physical location, people can find you, and that makes you pop up on Google Maps with the name. So if someone Googles Adtelligent, they'll actually be able to click go there, and it will say taking you to Adtelligent versus our actual address. So those three things, it's not going to take long. There's actually a video we did earlier that literally has a how-to where we went and did the steps on it, so you can go back there and watch it. Just do that, and you're going to have success. Just those three things.
Thank you so much. So Craig, set up your Facebook business page. Ensure that you are on LinkedIn, and if you're there, no picture, get that set up, and also set up your Google business page. And folks, all of this information is available in our memo with all the links. Newton Baker says, awesome. Was this session recorded? Yes, Newton. Not only this session, but all our 38 other episodes. I see some binge watching in our future. Brenda says, as usual, fantastic information. Althea says, very well done. Knowledge is power. Thanks for the sharing. Thank you so much, Craig Powe. This has been such an amazing episode with you. I need you to tell me how to get, every time I talk, Siri pop up, because it looks like Siri wanted to be a part of the conversation. So walk good, Craig. Happy New Year again.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Craig. So we had Craig Powe today. We had Craig Powe is CEO of Adtelligent. We had Trevor Forest, CEO of 876 Solutions. We talked about websites. We talked about domain names. We talked about email. We went through each social media platform, and all of this information is available in our memo. But can you imagine that every week right up to our conference on March 5th, we will be having a technology-focused webinar every single week. So you must be here every week because you don't want to miss anything. You want to also be looking out for registration for Let's Go Digital, the technology conference that is going to cause your digital life to change. So this is all brought to you by the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica. The Private Sector Organization of Jamaica is committed to the development, the sustainability, the reigniting, and the survival of our businesses. So if you are an MSME of any size, please ensure that you're not only watching, but we are encouraging you to become a member of the PSOJ. Visit the PSOJ marketing at psoj.org, because can you imagine you're getting this kind of training on COVIDcast? Don't miss out on all the valuable training, the networking, and the access that PSOJ membership provides. Visit us at marketing@psoj.org. Remember, put in your calendars right now, March 5th and 6th, because you are going to be in front of a screen. Also, ensure your calendar is giving you an alert, but better yet, follow us on PSOJ Financial Access JA right on Facebook to ensure that you get an update, you get some kind of notification that pings and tells you, stop what you're doing. It's time to watch COVIDcast JA. Remember, over the next few weeks, we are going through intense technology workshops because you shall be digitized for 2021. So thank you again all for joining us for beginning your digital journey. I'm seeing some questions. I see Imani asking what was the domain. I think this was for the setup of the websites. GoDaddy, Wix, and Namecheap will also be providing this information that you can go back and check. Thank you, Sandra Palmer. PSOJ team, awesome, always offering topics of interest. We are here for you, and we are now on that digitization journey. So join us again next week, 7:30 p.m. for another episode of COVIDcast JA. What good? So you have a great idea to start a business, but you don't know where to start. We completely understand. You have a lot of questions and almost no answers. Smallbusinessportal.com is here to help. At smallbusinessportal.com, you gain access to information on loans, grants, and investment opportunities from verified financial institutions. Guess what you also get? Useful business tips, access to training. All these services combine to make your business idea into a reality. Start your journey today at smallbusinessportal.com.